Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics.
Don't choke! I'm back!
He's back! Yes, do not adjust your sets. He's actually here, and actually that will make no sense to anyone because despite you not actually being here, I've said actually lots of times, despite you not being here, we've released episodes anyway because we built them up.
We're just playing with time times. I've been, whilst you've been watching me being here, I've been in Lyme Regis, and people have been watching me in Lyme Regis, whilst people have been watching me here, but I've not actually been here whilst they've been watching me. Get it?
No, I'm not. You lost me ages ago. But very glad to have you back, mate. How was it?
Great, thank you. Very lovely season. It's always fun down there. It's always great fun to do. You know, that lovely. I love doing weekly rap and rap stuff. So yeah, I've had a fabulous time. But in all that, I have missed being with me podcast buddy.
Oh, well, you're full of shit as usual. So
I am, mate. I am.
But question about the rep. Was it pure luck, or was it because how it landed? Or you did 3, which 3 plays in a row is still substantial. But they've cracked on and done 2 more. They're in the process of doing.
Oh, they're doing. Yeah, they are. Yeah.
How have you dodged that bullet? / how have they dodged that bullet?
I thought Lyme Regis had probably had enough of me, mate.
Right.
So you know, I think you can have too much of a good thing. Also, let's not make the poor buggers suffer anymore. You know.
Yeah. Whichever path you want to take, that fork in the road there, one of them is probably accurate for most people. But but they have got 2 more, haven't they? Because it's a season of 5 plays.
That's right. Yeah.
You did the first 3, and then well, you're old, so you can't do any more than that.
Exactly. The dinosaur has left the Jurassic coast, mate.
Oh, wonderful. Hey. Very nicely done indeed.
There you go.
So, dad jokes aside, you're back, I'm here, but do you know what, mate? It's not just the 2 of us today, is it?
No, it's not. We have a guest.
We do have a guest. You've come back just in time to welcome someone to the podcast. And today's guest is someone we've been trying to book for a while, someone enormously talented, someone we've both worked with, and someone who does something that I think we've probably referenced or talked around it, but not. This is quite specific, quite niche, but hugely important, and very admirable. And the fact that it's been created is. I'm not giving it the right sort of intro or right feel, I don't think, but I know someone that will be able to explain it a bit better. So, should we let her in?
I think we should, Sam. I think we should.
Brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, whoever you are, wherever you are, can't think properly, wherever you are, whether you're listening or watching, Drewling Samantics is very proud to present to you the wonderful, the very talented Miss Maria Beadell. And there she is to brighten up our day. The beautiful, the very talented Maria Beadell is with us. Hello, lovely. How are you?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah,
we're good. We've been looking forward to this, haven't we, Sam? Been looking forward to this.
It's taken a while to organise. And thank you for being here, but we've got here in the end. So yes, watchers, listeners, subscribers, Drewling Samantics fans, please welcome the wonderful Maria Beadell, who is a colleague of both Drew and mine. We've worked together. In fact, the 3 of us have worked together. God knows how anyone survived that, but we did, so it's all good.
Very good.
But actually, how we work together, or I suppose the format in which we worked, isn't your most kind of common or the thing that takes up most of your time. But rather than me trying to explain what you do, because it's quite niche but bloody brilliant, it's probably easier if I say, do you want to explain to our lovely listeners and viewers who you are, what you do, and maybe how you got to this point, perhaps, if that's okay?
Yeah, sure. So yes, I'm Maria, and I'm the founder of Historical Tours. So these are basically, it's historical, not historical, very important. These are theatrical storytelling walking tours around London, telling women's history, storytelling women's history through theatrical vignettes, I suppose. comedy, a lot of comedy, to be fair, a bit of poetry, a bit of song, and dramatic interludes on the streets of London. And so I cover things like, well, I cover lots of areas in London, but themes such as, witch persecution or the sex trade, the historic sex trade. I like looking at the dark elements of history, true crime. Rebels, rioters, these kinds of people, rather than just, everybody knows about the queens and the rich and the elite. So I try and look at lesser known characters. That's what I do. And the question was, how did I get there?
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
It's an interesting one to fall into.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh no, literally everyone always asks me this. Like, how on earth does one end up doing something like this? So basically I was a teacher of English as a foreign language, weirdly, not history as everybody assumes. I was a teacher for 12 years, and as part of that, we would host students from abroad, and I would be taking them around in the evenings sometimes. Like, that was sometimes part of the job. And also I'd befriend a lot of them. So they'd be like, oh, show me London. And I'd be like, okay. And I'd take them around and show them, the history, because I love the history of London and various monuments and things. And I just thought, I quite enjoy doing this. I prefer this to teaching. And then the unwelcome guest happened, and I basically that school I was working for folded. So I was made redundant from that, and I decided to think about what I wanted to do. And while I was sort of thinking this whilst being furloughed, which was quite nice, this was before I got the redundancy, I was still sort of being furloughed, which was quite nice during the unwelcome guest, to be honest. I was sort of thinking about what I want to do. And then when, the world was sort of shut down, and then the only thing that was kind of you were able to do was anything that was outside, I thought, okay, I'll apply for a job as a tour guide. And I started working for other companies as a tour guide and doing their scripts and enjoying it, but just a bit like, I kind of want to write my own stuff and talk about stuff that I find interesting, to be honest. So I had this idea of a particular tour I wanted to do, which was the witch one, because I'm fascinated with that history. And I just wrote it, and I just kind of thought, and this was back in 2020. So, the start of all that. And then I didn't launch it until the end of 2021. And it did really well, and I didn't think it would. I was just going to do it as a one-off event just to see if it worked, and it did actually do really well. I think it helped that it was Halloween, so people are looking for those kinds of things, so it was like the right time
to do, essentially.
It was, and everybody was desperate to get out the house, and so it was just really good timing in general, and it was outdoors and everything. So then I just kind of thought, I could keep it going and see if I can write other stuff. And then, what are we now? 6 years later, and I've got 6 or 7 tours. So I'm writing about one a year, roughly, because they take quite a long time. I have other actors that sometimes work with me as well. So they take quite a while to research, write, put together, rehearse. As you both know from putting together for me, it's like a mini play, I suppose. So it takes a while to do that. So yeah, that's kind of the journey, I suppose.
It's fascinating.
I mean, it's kind of it's a risky thing to do, because you are out on those streets, working, tooth and nail, cheek by jowl with the public. Also, you got the vagaries of working in the streets anyway. The weather, obviously, but. Are there particular challenges with doing so? I presume your audience are that they are invited, they book, they know what they're coming to do, so it's not a surprise. But then on after that, you are hopefully in control of a group of people, taking them around London. How much do they know about what they're going to see or hear, or is it obviously there's a little breakdown or something when they book a show, but after that they're pretty much in your hands, aren't they?
Yeah.
Which is great from a control freak point of view, but freaky from a sort of like, I don't know what they're going to do.
I mean, I think they generally. I mean, I've got quite a I like to think, quite a comprehensive sort of description of what's going to happen. Although obviously I don't tell them the content of the tour, and they also don't know that there's going to be someone else involved because the other person will jump out at a specific moment. So yeah, so they're always surprised by that because they always just think, because I obviously I'm the main person, I'm guiding and leading them round. So they think, oh, it's just you. And then there's always a little bit of a little bit of a scream.
Jump scare, nice, yeah.
Yeah, there's a bit of a jump scare, which is in the theme of the tour, I suppose. So I've obviously ruined that now because I've told everybody that happens. But no, it's fine. But not on every single walk. On some of the walks, it is just me. So they don't always know because sometimes there are actors and sometimes there aren't. So it just depends on the walk. So that is something they're not going to know. Yeah, I mean, I think there are other companies that do similar things. So I think a lot of the people that come on my tours have a vague idea of this sort of immersive theatre kind of thing, that there will probably be surprises of some sort, and it's not just like a guided walking tour. So I guess they kind of know what they're getting into-ish, yeah.
But is it sorry, Dre, is it something that is continuing to grow in the sense that obviously you're writing new scripts and there are new subject matters because there is so much sort of history and things that you could go into, but are they growing individually as well? Are you sort of finding ways to change them up each time? It's a weird thing to say, but are you almost learning as you go along? I know you've been doing it for a long time, but does the way they're performed and the way you produce them change as well?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I write an initial script and I have the initial plan there, but that's changing all the time as new information's coming in, particularly regarding these subjects like the witch trials, for example. There's so much we don't know about a lot of this history, and I'm constantly researching anyway because I just find it really interesting and I'm a geek. So I'll read new research papers about the subject and new books and be like, oh my God, that was wrong. Well, it's not wrong what I said, but it's based on research that has now been found to be not necessarily accurate. So then I'll update the tour based on that. And then I might add in new bits. So I would say, yeah, people are seeing different tours. It's not like the same one every time, if you know what I mean. So it is, they're definitely evolving and definitely changing. When I first started, I actually, for one of my tours, Harlots, Strumpets and Tarts, oh my, which is about the sex trade in the 18th century. I thought, I want to make this. I don't know if you've seen the show Harlots that's on.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, it's fabulous,
Brilliant.
isn't it?
Brilliant.
And it's absolutely brilliant. And I just was hugely inspired by that, and just was a bit like, I want to have a cast. This is me being overly ambitious, not realizing my budget. So I was like, I want to have a cast. I'm going to hire 4 actresses and I'm going to have them popping up at different points and doing different character vignettes. And that's what I did for the first year. But I just wasn't selling enough because it was very early days and I wasn't selling the kind of tickets where I could afford to pay them. So I was making a huge loss basically. So it was a fun little experiment, but in the end I was a bit like, I'm going to have to sort of make it simpler for now. But then if I get a big private booking, I can bring on more cast members. Do you know what I mean? So I've had to evolve my strategy for practical reasons, because you have all these, I mean, you guys know this, you have all these big ideas of what you want to do, but actually in practicality it's quite hard to execute unless you're selling the tickets and events, or unless you've got a load of money behind you, which I don't have.
You're probably the only madam in London that didn't make money.
I know, I'm such a shit madam. I know what is going on. God.
But there has been, I mean, people are, we see them since the birth of sort of like Secret Cinema, and then, latterly Peaky Blinders and all, Monopoly, all the interactive stuff and the immersive stuff is so popular. Yeah. And also people want to visit, people would come to London, and you can sit on an open top bus and but that's, and you get someone droning on the left the House of Parliament, on the right is blah blah blah, but I love the mixture of street theatre and history, and obviously a genuine love for London and the women that have inhabited it. Do you get the sort of obviously you get the tourists with their cameras, but do you get the kind of history geeks and the people that who are kind of into that kind of thing in London? Because I know I'm going to come on a tour because I just want to hear more about the tarts on the street.
Of course you do. I thought you would know. Don't you already know that?
Yeah, well, he lived around those times.
I know. Actually, I know a little bit more about the tarts in London than there's a story for another day there.
Okay.
But no, I had when I was at drama school, there were two prostitutes lived in the flat above. And they were very friendly. If they had a good week, then they'd bring a bottle of wine down and have a chat. But most of the time, they'd just sort of say, "We're going to be ever so busy this Friday, so you might want to go out." So that was. Yeah. They were fat.
Different times.
Oh, brilliant! We need story time with Drew, I think.
Oh yeah. No, seriously, I mean,
because we got a far more important person joining us and telling us.
Absolutely.
We don't need to listen to it. We get him every week. He's only here because his name's still in the title. That's all. But, so to dial it back a bit, because obviously this isn't what you've been doing forever, and obviously you were teaching, but the performance element of things, is that how you trained? Is that what you sort of wanted to do but then branched in a different way, or has that come from the teaching and the performance element in there?
Yeah, that's come from the teaching and it was never something I thought about doing while I was a teacher. I knew I wanted to do something creative, and I'd sort of done a little bit of performance and worked on immersive productions from, I'd say, 2014. There was a few. It's like what Drew was saying, that the immersive thing has become very, very popular. I don't know if any of you remember You Me Bum Bum Train, which was one of the first. Yeah. So I was in one of the early ones, because I wasn't, they don't take on actors. They take on ordinary people as part of their cast, voluntary. And so I'd never performed before, and I thought, okay, I want to give that a go. And I just absolutely fell in love with the whole format of immersive theatre. So I kind of thought, I'd like to do this, but I've got a full-time job, and I can't see how you get into this kind of work. And then I'll be honest with you, it was the unwelcome guest, really. It just kind of, I think it made a lot of people think, is this really what I want to be doing for the rest of my life? And actually, it kind of gave me that kick up the jacksie to sort of sort out what I want to do and think about it in more detail. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So it wasn't something I was like, I definitely want to work in history. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I used to paint. So I was an artist, as in painting pictures for a long time as a side hustle, where I tried to sell them and I put on gallery shows and things, but that was never profitable. I mean, it's the whole stereotype of the starving artist. That was me. Yeah. But I did have a full-time job, so it wasn't like I was relying on that. But I knew basically what I'm saying is I knew I wanted to do something creative. I just didn't know what avenue to take it, really.
Wow.
Apart from turning up and doing immersive dinner shows with Sam and myself and other people, and have you moved even more creatively? Are there other stuff you're involved with? Apart from obviously her historical tours, because that's important. But are you doing other stuff now? Have you moved? Are you getting more creative and more arty-farty and actory?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was as you two know, I didn't come to acting, I suppose. I still feel weird saying acting, but because I didn't go to drama school and I didn't do all the normal routes, that actors normally do, or that you expect actors to do, I suppose. This has all come out of these tours of me going, and then friends saying, you should join Spotlight. And I was like, what the bloody hell is Spotlight? Yeah. And then, sort of trying to get work in other immersive, like the 40 Tout, the dinner shows, etc. So yeah, I'm kind of trying to see where that leads as well, because I find that I really enjoy doing those shows, and I enjoy that kind of format as well. So it's just, and also I'm in a comedy sketch group, so I am exercising my comedy muscles there, I suppose. It's nice to work with other people, because the thing is with the tours is it's quite solitary. I know I do work with another actor, but that's only on the actual tours themselves. All the writing, all the research, everything I do myself. And so I'm pretty much working alone most of the time. So it's actually quite nice to be with a group and working with other people. I really miss that, actually. I do miss that. From,
Does that take the pressure off a little bit? I mean, you can sit back and enjoy, rather than, because I mean, you along with the writing and the researching and the performing, you've got all the marketing and
Yeah.
you are a one person company. I suppose we all are in a way, but
Yeah.
putting on the shows and getting them out there is that so that you can probably enjoy it a little bit more when you're within a company. It takes the pressure off, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it does massively take the pressure off. Like you say, the marketing's the absolute worst part of it for me, because I just don't know. I think it is for everybody. You just don't know how to sell yourself, or how you're supposed to. I mean, how do you work out Instagram algorithms and all this nonsense? Like, it's something that's really stressful. Yeah, so it is really nice. It does take the pressure off, definitely. And it's just a bit like, oh, someone else is doing this, and I just have to turn up and do my job. It's actually quite nice.
Yeah.
Even when you turn up and it's these two knob ends that you happen to be working on.
Yeah, sort of that. Yeah.
Just to ask about that in particular. So as you said earlier, we worked on 40 Towers shows together. Is there some sort of like slight satisfaction in that what you do normally, and I use the word very loosely, is these tours relating to big, powerful female characters in history, and then you come into 40 Towers and you can't really get more powerful than Sybil Fawlty doing that kind of show. Yes, arguably she is the lowest of the three in sort of reputation, perhaps, but actually when it comes to the power struggle within, little is more, I think, is probably the
Oh
same.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's in charge. She's driving. We've talked about this. She drives the whole story forward, doesn't she? And also, I just really enjoy the slapping. Sorry, Sam, but the pleasure out of actually going up to someone and slapping them around the face. Not because I want to slap you around the face, but it's just
That's just a positive side effect, of course.
Yes, indeed. No, you're right. It is really satisfying in a way with that particular character. And just so fun, it's just so fun playing that, and it does kind of feed into a lot of the characters that I do play, quite Sybil-esque. Some of the historical characters are quite Sybil-esque, I suppose, on my tours when I think about it.
I mean, it's probably an unfair question to ask, but do you have a favourite character that you play, or that you've
a favourite on the tours? Oh God, I think, do you know what? I think it's actually a medium. I mean, I love playing all the whores and the madams because that's just fun. But there's a medium on the witch tour that I play, who was the last witch to be convicted in England, actually. And I recreate one of her seances, and she's Scottish, and I just love her. She's such a character. She's such a powerhouse. Obviously, I add my own ridiculous spin to it, but I love playing her because she's a force of nature. Yeah.
I mean, knowing, I mean, I've done a little bit of busking in the past and that, but what do you have to approach local authorities and say I'm doing this thing, and do you how welcoming are they to sort of allowing you into buildings and spaces and streets to do the shows?
Yeah, I mean, I did contact the councils when I started this, because I thought, do you need a license? How does it work? And they told me you don't need any license to do anything like that, as long as you're not blocking, public byways, etc. And as long as you haven't got speakers and street equipment like that, which obviously you have to, if you're going to play music and have mics and things like that. I think you need, but I don't use a mic. And so it's fine. I mean, there's certain bits, like it's really weird in Covent Garden. I remember they said to me, it was like something out of like, I don't know, like a weird old fashioned thing. They were like, oh, make sure that you stay where the cobbles turn to the left, stay on those cobbles. Once the cobbles turn to the right, it belongs to Capco. And so so there's a certain part of Covent Garden Piazza, which is under the authority of this company called Capco, and I'm not allowed to step inside that. But I don't, so I just go on the outside of it, So it's weird things like that. I have had a bit of hostility, this actually happened last night, weirdly. I was doing a tour along the river, and I didn't even know it was part of the hotel. There was a certain bit that I've been doing this for years and never ever been told about this. A certain bit that I stop and do a little scene, and it turns out I'm trespassing on the property of the hotel, but they're fine. They just give you a warning and tell you to move on. So it's not like they're not like, coming out and issuing you with any sort of fines or anything. So mostly, I mean, I've never had any issues. Mostly, I did on my suffragettes tour, because on the suffragettes I have to stop outside Downing Street, and I have to pretend to throw something and smash the windows of Downing Street and shout. And so I had to warn the coppers there, because they were all looking at me. I mean, I'm dressed as a suffragette, so it's bloody obvious anyway. So I just came out. I said, "Excuse me, Sarge," or whatever I called him. I can't remember. I'm just letting you know, I am going to be pretending to throw a rock at you and shouting votes for women. Not really going to throw a rock, just letting you know. And so I was expecting him to say, oh yeah, that's fine. But do you know what he did? He's like radioing in to his boss, and he was like, yeah, Governor, we got this woman here. Yeah, she's dressed as a suffragette. She says she's going to pretend to throw a rock, but she ain't really going to throw a rock. She's pretending to be a suffragette. Yeah, I'm just checking. Is that all right, Gov? Is that all right? It was so surreal. I thought, why does he need to phone through to his governor? And then he turned to me and really serious. He didn't even break, he was like, yeah, that's all right. And I was like, oh, that's good, thank you. But I had to stand and wait for him to finish that conversation. I thought, I mean, it's kind of, the suffragettes we're talking about, like 100 years ago. It's kind of obvious that I'm leading a tour, but it was quite funny. But yeah, no, so most of the time you don't need any permissions. You see tour groups all the time, don't you? Wandering around. Especially Jack the Ripper ones in East London.
Well, and that's why this is so different, but so brilliant, that there's almost kind of an expectation, isn't there? Like, these things exist, and the route they're going to take. Metaphorically, not the actual route they're going to take.
Yeah,
they will. There are famous things. You're always going to be talking about gunpowder plots and Houses of Parliament in London, and as you say, Jack the Ripper and things like that. So to branch out a bit and to perhaps expand people's minds to some of the history that is lost because of the age-old sexism and how sort of history has been told, forgive the pun, historically, to change these things up. So are you finding that modern generations are becoming sort of like more and more interested in these kind of things?
So the younger people in general, yeah, I'd say so. The weird thing is, though, my client audience tend to be, and I think it's going back to what you were asking before, Drew, is that they're not really tourists. They tend to be Londoners really interested in history, or people from the UK interested in history, but also older. So they tend to be my age, so 40s, 50s, 60s. I don't get a lot of youngsters, weirdly. I don't know if that's just because they're lazy and they just don't want to walk. But they are, though, aren't they? They go, oh, I'm tired. And I'm like, you're 18. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
What's
you
wrong
haven't
with
earned the
you?
right to be tired yet.
I know, exactly. Oh, I'm aching. Oh, it's hot. No, so I think you're right in terms of something different and novelty and niche and theatre. So that the newer generations are interested in something different, definitely, because the hackneyed guided walking tour and on the right you see this that's kind of dead now. I think we need you need to add more to it in general. So yeah, but. I am trying to attract younger people, and I'm not quite sure how to do it. It's funny, isn't it? I don't know.
Something to do with TikTok or Snapchat.
Oh my God, I bloody hate all that shit. This is the problem, you see. I just hate it, and I'm so bad at it. And I don't know. How do you go viral? I don't know.
No.
Yeah,
don't ask me. Definitely don't ask him. He has not got a clue.
Um, yeah, whatever. But I mean, I watch a lot of I love the sort of crime reconstruction, all that, and I'm a bit of a I love London. I love the history of London. And I've been watching a lot of. I'm going to say you'll probably go, but Lucy Worsley is her stuff. She's started to make that quite popular again. So I mean that people love, or I mean people do love going to parts of London, going, oh, this is where so and so was, strangled, raped, murdered, disemboweled, put in a sack, thrown in the Thames or whatever, all that sort of stuff. That's quite Wednesday for Shoreditch, But I mean, people love that, and I can really see where the audiences are coming from, But you talk about the touristy thing, but it's been hot lately. It's been bloody hot.
Yeah.
Surely you must have, as a performer, doing, I don't know, how long are the tours? How long are you sort of having to sustain that?
Yeah, they're usually 2+ hours long. I mean, I try and keep it to 2 hours. I have to say, being in a nylon Georgian gown and wig in that heat wave was a bit of a challenge. I like the heat, so I can actually cope with the heat quite well. But being in costume, and it has affected the numbers because people just don't want to come on walks, and because most of my people are Brits, they're not coming on. I'm not selling as many tickets for sure because of the heat wave, but everyone's noticed that across the tour industry. People just don't want to be out as much. So yeah, no, it is a struggle in costume. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, and then obviously you have the opposite problem in the winter where it's bloody freezing. So yeah, all these challenges for sure.
Yeah, what? I mean, this is going to really come out wrong, but what keeps you off the streets? I mean, I know when I was busking in Covent, in Covent Garden, we had that problem as well. Don't step on that part because we were told to keep to the piazza. But yeah, I'd get up in the morning, look out the window, and go, "Great sunshine," and then in the winter it was like, "No, it's too cold to do an act with a bucket of water." I mean, do you have to at times go, "I can't do it. You just cannot do it"?
I've never cancelled a tour that I've advertised due to the weather yet. I don't tend to do tours in January just because they don't sell, no one's got any money, and it's usually bloody freezing.
It's Christmas slump, isn't it, really?
Exactly. There's no point. I've tried it before and it just doesn't, they don't sell. There's no point. I think the only time was when there was a storm and it was actually dangerous, as in things were being blown down. I didn't want to, and that was a safety issue. But I have done it in absolutely torrential rain from start to finish. Rain so heavy and loud that I had to shout above it. And even then I couldn't really hear myself. Like that was, but that came on suddenly and nobody, I thought people would bugger off and nobody left. They stuck with it. They were like, we paid £20, we're staying.
Exactly that.
Yeah. But no, I haven't. I mean, I think with these temperatures at the moment, it's okay, just about. I think if things, I mean, this is the same for everything, but if things start getting really, really bad, I'm going to have to rethink because it would be a shame. I mean, like, I can't see us being able to walk in 40 degrees, for example. No. I'm not sure that's going to be safe or possible. So it's only those kind of situations, like extreme weather.
And as you say, it's not just a case of you not being able to perform, but people aren't going to want to be out in it. So why subject both sides if that's the case? But Maria, it's been so lovely chatting to you, and really lovely to catch up, and fingers crossed they'll release us three into the ether and allow us to perform together again soon. But maybe they haven't because they're regretting last time. Who knows? I mean, we're all well behaved, can't understand why.
We were fine. It was the audience that were badly behaved. Exactly. I remember that night.
Exactly. They ran into your fists. There was
well, exactly. I mean,
but before we let you get back to your busy schedule and chasing people through the streets rather than beating people up in theatre shows, a couple of things. First of all, let's do some promotion. So obviously we've talked a lot about what you do, but give us some actual details on where people, if they would like to come and book, and we highly recommend they do, where can they find details, etc.?
Yep, so you need to go to historicaltours.co.uk, and you'll find all the tours on there. So in terms of upcoming, I've got on the 22nd of August Southwark Histories Tour, which is an exploration of Southwark, and the stories around there. 27th, I've got Votes for Women. Suffragettes at Bow Street and beyond. 28th, I've got Harlots and Strumpets and Tarts. Oh my!
Coming to that.
Yeah. Yay. And we do usually end up in pubs, by the way. So just letting people know that we normally end up digesting over a drink, Mother's Ruin or whatever you want. So it does carry on. If you want it to, it carries on.
Sounds like a good plan. So
yes,
please do, if you're available, if you're near London. If you're not and you would like to travel, please do check out those details and get booked. And before we let you go, finally, can we finish up with a story, an anecdote? We love to leave our guests wanting more. I mean, they always want more. Not our guests, our listeners wanting more of our guest, I should say. But you must, from all these tours and various other things you've done, you must have a little quick story you can give us just to tell us how mad this world really is.
Oh my God. Okay, yeah. So on my Harlots and Strumpets tour, I tend to play a lot of drunken, pox-ridden whores, down dark alleyways. Got to make it immersive and realistic, right? So there's one particular alleyway that I go down, and I was in full, character and playing this drunken harlot, and then out of nowhere, this crack addict, very, very drunk, vomit all down his front, beard, just turns up, because this is, as you were saying, this is one of the risks of working in public. You get people like this. So he's wandering out, and he's really pissed, and he comes right up. Normally they don't come right up to the group. They normally see what you're doing and bugger off, but he was out of his head. So he comes wandering up. He pushes his way through my group, comes up to me, looks around and goes, "Fucking slags," and then just walked off. And then I was like, oh shit, okay. So I quickly moved everyone. No, but it doesn't finish there. So I quickly move everybody on, and I'm still in character because I never break character. So I just carried on the thing and didn't say anything about that. I get to the end of the tour. I had quite a lot of Americans on my tour, and an American couple came up to me at the end, and they all tell me, they were all saying, oh, we liked it for this reason, whatever. And they came up to me and they were like, "Oh my God, that man was so authentic. How did you find him?" Like he was such a good actor. We thought he was a real drug addict that came out of nowhere. How did you find this guy? He was like, they basically thought he was in my cast, right? So I'm just like, I thought, shall I go along with this? But then, unfortunately, I had a few Brits on the tour that clearly knew that they could tell that it was a random. And they were like, "Oh yeah, but you don't actually hire him. He was just a random, wasn't he? He's not actually one of your actors, is he?" And I had to sort of admit he wasn't. But it was great because they thought it was genuinely part of the performance, which I was just, and they said it was so immersive. We're going to tell everybody. I was like, well, I can't guarantee that those crack addicts are going to turn up every time. I do actually get quite a lot of drunks and crack addicts that do turn up and just start heckling and shouting at me. And also it was quite apt that he said "fucking slags" because we were doing a Harlots tour. Well, so it's like, well, yes, we are.
Yes, I am.
It's accurate. Yeah.
But so have you since managed to find him and book him for a few more?
I've hunted down. I don't know where he's gone. He's disappeared. Maybe he was a time traveler out of the past.
Maybe
the
he
18th
was
century.
real and he confused him. Who knows?
Exactly. I know. I have looked for him.
So
but
yes,
I've had things like that.
If you're out there listening and you want to see things like that happen, because they genuinely do, then yes, please go check out historicaltours.co.uk and get booked in with Maria. I'm assuming all the dates and upcoming things you can also see online and find.
Everything's up there. Yeah.
But yes, and if you're lucky enough and you go to one of the harlots ones, you might find Drew there because it sounds like he's going to be turning up.
Standing there going, "Fucking slag."
Fucking slag. Yeah, that was just you. That was you in disguise.
You didn't recognise him, did you?
Master of disguise.
Brilliant.
What a way to finish. Maria, it's been wonderful having you on.
Thank you
so much
great.
for joining us. All the best for the upcoming tours and gigs. And yeah, as said, hopefully we'll be out doing a performance, the three of us, in the near future.
Yay! I hope so.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
We're bloody good at it, so let us
We're
do it.
bloody good.
But no,
Yeah.
thank you
That's been
again.
great.
Take care of
Thank you.
yourself. We'll speak to you soon. See you later.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, man.
Bye.
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 And there we go, Sam. There we go. We send the lovely Maria walking the streets in the nicest possible way.
Yes. Disclaimer, every time we've referenced to her being on the streets or when we've talked about harlots and whores and God knows what else, it's all done within a tasteful or the correct way. We're not suggesting anything else. And despite how it may have sounded, we promise you, Drew was not the crack addict. We can assure you of that.
No, because they wouldn't pay me enough. No. But I mean, it's interesting how hearing about, the work is fantastic and a brilliant idea, and she obviously executes it brilliantly because she's a fantastic performer. But it is interesting how that whole, we've spoke about it before, but the whole interactive thing is, site specific, and touring, tour guiding around London has completely evolved. Probably since, and Maria mentioned it herself, the unwelcome guest, and how the whole entertainment and people's expectations has changed things in, it's like tour guide, completely changed that world. It's fascinating.
Do you think there are two sides to it? So I think in one case, obviously during the unwelcome guest, it wasn't safe, so nothing like that was happening at all. Do you think now post that we've got the two sides of the coin almost? People that are still slightly sort of concerned and perhaps are holding back from doing those things because they just got into a way of life where you couldn't do them. And then the flip side of it, the people that have gone, fuck it, we can do things now. Let's do it to excess almost.
Let's get out of the house and do it. Yeah, I think you may be right there. I think you may be right. Also, people enjoy and value being entertained in different ways. I think people are looking for different ways of being entertained and getting out. And if, like Maria and and obviously her sort of main audience, they love London and they love walking around the streets and going, what's that building there? What is that? And then she gives that also that performance element, which is that there's you're being entertained and you almost forget that actually you're learning a little bit something here, as well as having a great time, and ending up in a pub in London and for a few drinks after. It's a bloody wonderful idea. I think it's fabulous.
I wonder if that's the crossover. We've talked lots of times about how theatre in education can be really valuable because children are more likely to learn because it's more memorable and it's not just, I don't know, throwing facts and figures and look at this, read this. And the drone, you perhaps get that, and I'm not obviously belittling or talking down to other tour guides that do the sort of traditional, here is a script, this is how I will deliver it. But to add that creative side to it, to add that immersive nature, to add that unexpected elements and the real kind of, this isn't someone reading you facts from a bit of paper. This is one of the people that lived it, albeit it's an actor playing a role. But it's just a very different delivery of a similar thing that perhaps really does stand out.
Yeah, and to Maria's kudos to her, because she's taken this and as it is peculiarly her take on women's stories as well. There is that angle. It's she's not doing the Jack the Ripper tours and all that. She's doing the women of a particular time and an area. So which I think is fascinating.
Yeah,
clever, talented lady.
Very much so. What the bloody hell's she doing talking to us, Drew? God only knows. And speaking of talking to us, next week it's just us talking to us because
it is, mate.
It's not next week. But I must say I'm very glad you're back and that we can crack on. As much as I loved doing lots of episodes in a short space of time to build up so we could sort of cover for you and cover for the guests' timing and stuff, it's much nicer doing it weekly, I think. Well, it's much more manageable doing it weekly, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
So don't go fucking abandoning me again. All right.
I won't, mate. I'm going nowhere. I promise. Until the next time.
Oh well, I'll cross my fingers in the nicest way that doesn't happen. That sounds really mean.
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean.
I do.
Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. ladies and gents, thank you for joining us. Thank you again to Maria for coming to join us as well. And we shall see you next week for a bit more of me and a bit more of he. So till then, take care of yourselves. See you later.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Cheers. Thanks again for watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
Please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.
Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app. And please support us on social media. All our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so why not share with your family and friends so they can join in too? Thanks very much. See you next time.